All right, let's just get right into it. We really need to talk about Bitcoin's price today, Tuesday, February 17th, because the market is sitting on a razor's edge. If you're feeling that tension, trust me, you are not the only one. I'm going to take a guess. You probably rolled over, opened up your phone first thing, and saw the price action, and felt that familiar knot tighten in your stomach, right? That feeling of, what now? Wondering if we're about to fall off a cliff, or if this is just the quiet before a big comeback. It is a stressful place to be. And look, that feeling you have, it's not just in your head. The data is screaming it. The Crypto Fear and Greed Index is flashing a score of just 10. That's not just fear, that is extreme fear. The whole market is holding its breath. So in this breakdown, we're going to cut right through all that noise. And you're going to want to stick with me because by the end, I'm going to reveal the one number, the single most important price level that I believe will be the decider for Bitcoin by the end of today's session. So, let's tackle that anxious morning check head on. The goal here is simple, to get a super clear picture of where things stand right now and to map out the key battle lines for the rest of today, Tuesday, February 17th. Okay, here are the vital signs as we speak. Bitcoin's hovering around $67,500. Now that 24-hour change of negative 0.71% doesn't look like much, but zoom out 30 days and you see the real story. A gut-wrenching drop of almost 30%. And like we just saw, sentiment is scraping the bottom of the barrel at 10. Extreme fear. And okay, here's our first big reality check of the day. Just look at how lopsided the technical indicators are. I mean, it's wild. Across a whole range of metrics, a staggering 27 are flashing bearish. And how many are bullish? Just 4. That is a seriously skewed picture. And it tells us that the charts, right now, are pointing to some significant weakness. So all of this brings us to the main event for today. You can literally think of today's price action as a tug of war happening in a very tight space. On one end, you've got this heavy ceiling of resistance, and on the other, a critical floor of support that the bulls absolutely have to defend for dear life. These are the two numbers that basically define today's entire struggle. The bears are putting up a brick wall at $72,000. Every time the price even gets near it, bam, it gets knocked back down. At the same time, the bulls are digging in, trying to hold their strongest line of support at $65,034. If that level breaks, we could see a much faster drop. And inside that bigger war zone, these are the smaller trenches that traders are glued to. The very first hurdle on the way up is $70,136. If we can clear that, the next big test is $71,315. Now on the flip side, if we lose steam, the first safety net is $66,213, with that ultimate floor we just talked about at $65,034. Keep these numbers handy, especially that first resistance level. It's important. But why are we having such a hard time at that ceiling? Well, this quote from analyst Christopher Lewis absolutely nails it. The retail FOMO crowds simply don't have enough momentum to push the market higher anymore. The game has changed, you know. The big money institutions, they're sitting on the sidelines. They don't buy into falling markets. And without their firepower, the rest of us just don't have enough muscle to break through that heavy resistance alone. Okay, so let's move beyond just the charts, because there are some really powerful kind of hidden forces putting a ton of pressure on the price today. And if you want to know where we might be going, you have to understand these. First up, and this one's a monster, is a huge options expiry. Today, contracts worth a whopping $2.5 billion are all expiring. And whenever this happens, it can get really chaotic. It forces the big players to shuffle their positions around, which often pumps a ton of volatility into the market and can send the price in really unexpected directions. Now, tied into this is something called the max pain price. To put it simply, it's the price point where the most people holding options contracts end up losing all their money. And for today's expiry, that price is $74,000. Now, here's the crazy part. There's often this weird magnetic pull towards the max pain price as we get closer to the deadline. The big problem? We're trading thousands of dollars below it right now, and that's creating a whole lot of tension. But here's the thing. Here's what most people are completely missing when they just look at that options data. There are 3 even deeper pressures going on that the chart won't show you. First, as we mentioned, institutional caution. The big money is not jumping in to save the day, they're waiting for things to calm down. Second, you have retail exhaustion. The everyday investor is just tired, they're running out of steam. And third, and this is a big one, miner pressure. It now costs more for many miners to produce 1 Bitcoin than they can sell it for. What does that mean? It means they have to sell their existing Bitcoin just to pay the bills, and that adds constant selling pressure to the market. Okay, this is it. This is what we've been building up to. We've looked at the mood, the charts, the hidden forces. Now it's time to answer that big question from the beginning. What is the single most important number to keep your eyes on for the rest of today? So when you put it all together, the extreme fear, that tug of war on the charts, the options expiry, what's the one level that's going to give us the verdict on today's price action?
Here it is. The number that, in my opinion, matters more than any other for the rest of today is $70,136. This is our first major resistance level, what traders call a key pivot. Think of this number as today's gatekeeper. It's that simple. If the price goes up and gets rejected here, all that downward pressure stays on, making a drop back to our support levels much more likely. However, if the bulls can find the strength to punch through $70,136 and, this is critical, actually hold above it, that would be the first real sign of life we've seen, and it could give them the confidence to go after that big $72,000 ceiling.
So here is your no-nonsense, actionable game plan for watching the market today. Step 1. Keep your eyes glued to that pivot at $70,136. Everything really hinges on it. Step 2. If we break above it and hold, the next stop is that big ceiling at $72,000. And Step 3. If the price gets rejected at the pivot, then you watch for a drop back to test support at $66,213 and that ultimate floor at $65,034. And of course, I have to say it, this is not financial advice. This is my honest analytical opinion for today, Tuesday, February 17th. So look, if you forget everything else from this entire breakdown, just remember these three things. 1. The market mood is at rock bottom, extreme fear. 2. Today is all about a huge battle between the 65K floor and the 72K ceiling. And 3. The single number that gives you the best clue as to who is winning that battle today is $70,136.
But now, I want to hear from you. After all of this, what is your price prediction for where Bitcoin closes today? Are you leaning bullish or bearish? Drop your number in the comments below. Let's talk about it. Stay sharp out there, and I'll catch you in the next one.